Doc. Good evening, Doc. Good evening po sa lahat. Okay, continue po tayo sa tongue diagnosis made easy, swollen tongue body. It is necessary to distinguish between a tongue that is completely swollen and a tongue where only certain areas are swollen. So, pwede po yung buong tongue ang swollen or only certain parts could be swollen na ma-observe. A swollen tongue will be the result of too much fluid accumulating in the tongue. Example nito yung dampness, phlegm, or accumulation of fluids, which is the opposite of the previous situation where the tongue was too thin due to lack of fluids. The accumulation of dampness, phlegm, or fluids in the body is in itself an excess condition. Excess condition will often, though not always, have the root in a deficient condition. Heat, for example, can force fluid upward to the tongue or condense them so that they transform into phlegm. So, galing po sa init, napo-force po yung fluid pataas sa tongue, and so, in effect, nagta-transform into phlegm. As with the color of the tongue, the swelling can encompass the entire tongue body or just be limited to a certain area that corresponds to a specific organ or areas of the body. So here we have a picture. A swollen tongue generally indicates retention of dampness or phlegm, especially the latter. So ito po yung swollen tongue picture. Okay, another picture. A partial swelling usually indicates heat. So, a swollen red tip indicates severe heart fire, while swollen and red sides indicate liver fire. So, itong picture, observe po natin, swollen po yung tongue sides niya. So, this indicates liver fire. Okay. Next picture, we have a swollen sides that are wider, usually on a pale tongue reflects spleen deficiency. So swollen siya tapos pale. This is a spleen deficiency, and the swelling in the front third of the tongue indicates phlegm in the lungs. So itong first picture, swollen tongue sides, yung spleen area, ito pong sides. Yung sa gitna po, yung may swelling. And yung next picture, kung observe po niyo mabuti, yung lung area which is the front third, ito lang po yung may swelling. Okay po? The size of the tongue body has to be related to the size of the head of the person. What might be swollen for someone may be normal for another, because the thickness of the tongue body depends on the supply of fluid and blood. Swollen tongue body indicates an accumulation of fluids, which may be dampness, phlegm, or edema. The swelling of the tongue always indicates a full condition, particularly characterized by dampness or phlegm. So, tandaan po natin, pagkakaroon ng swelling, it is a full condition na merong dampness and phlegm. Although dampness and phlegm usually arise from a Qi or Yang deficiency, the swelling of the tongue body reflects the full condition created by these two pathogenic factors. So, although galing po sa Qi and Yang deficiency ang pagkakaroon ng dampness and phlegm, but this one reflects full condition daw po by these two pathogenic factors. Okay? So here, another picture, yung swelling of the tongue body. Okay po? So sa swollen tongue, we have indication, pathogenic heat invades the heart and spleen. So ang tongue body has a bright red tongue body, possibly with pain. Ang pathogenesis niya, there is heat, which pushes blood into the tongue, which causes the swelling. Next, we have alcohol poisoning, which has a tongue body that is purple and swollen. And yung isa is blood stagnation due to chemical toxicity. Ang tongue body has a dark blue-purple or pale blue-purple and swollen. Ang pathogenesis, chi and blood stasis lead to blood accumulation in the tongue body resulting in the swollen tongue. So, ang remarks po dito is unlike the flabby tongue, the swollen tongue is not found in healthy person and always indicates a pathology. So, magkaiba po yung flabby tongue and swollen because ang pagkaroon ng swollen tongue, there is a pathology. So next, we have the pale and swollen tongues. A pale tongue with the normal tongue shape and coating indicates only a slight deficiency of lung and spleen qi. In this case, the qi is not strong enough to transport the blood to the tongue, resulting in a paler coloration of the tongue body. The paleness of the tongue body is proportional to the degree of deficiency. The paler the tongue body, the more serious the qi and yang deficiency. Okay po? A pale and swollen tongue is very common. So, lagi po siyang pwedeng ma-observe. The tongue is pale because the yang qi is too weak to transport sufficient blood to the tongue. The tongue is also swollen as a result of qi and yang deficiency, which result in an adequate fluid transformation. Since the fluids are inadequately transformed, they accumulate and transform into dampness. So since hindi na transform, nag-accumulate po siya and nagkakaroon ng dampness. The degree of swelling of the tongue body is inversely related to the strength of the yang and source qi. That is, a weak yang and source qi will result in a swollen tongue body. Physical overwork, excessive exercise, and overconsumption of raw foods and dairy products can result deficiency of spleen qi and yang. If the pale tongue has a normal body shape, the deficiency is not as serious and can be rectified through a proper and regular diet, as well as periods of rest. A pale and swollen tongues are often accompanied by teeth marks. So, ma-observe din po na may mga teeth marks sa sides. The deeper and more distinctive the marks, the more serious the weakness of the stomach and spleen qi, and spleen and kidney yang. So, i-observe po natin yung mga teeth marks. So, we have here cases. Female, 31 years old. Ang tongue po niya is slightly pale with a normal shape, which indicates that there is a slight spleen qi and blood deficiency. We could also observe yung red points at the tip. So, tingnan po natin yung red points, which is, sabi dito, is normal. Slightly white, yellowish, greasy coating at the posterior third. This indicates slight food stagnation. Ang symptoms is fatigue, there is constipation, bouts of no appetite, epigastric fullness. Sa Western diagnosis, there is none. And yung background to disease, this patient is overworked, irregular eating habits, excessive consumption of sweets. Okay po. Next patient is a male, 50 years old. Ang tongue is pale, swollen, and slightly wet. This indicates that there is a spleen qi deficiency, which is accumulation of dampness and blood deficiency. Ang symptoms is loud gurgling in the abdomen. There is soft stools, excessive sputum, no appetite, panic attacks, difficulty in falling asleep, and severe fatigue. So Western diagnosis, there is none. Background to disease, excessive consumption of raw foods, excessive worrying, there is lack of sleep due to work schedule, yung nagna-night shift siya. Okay po. Next patient, we have a male, 37 years old. Ang tongue niya is slightly pale and swollen. Okay, observe po natin yung picture. This indicates that there is a spleen chi deficiency. Ang tongue din niya is white, thin, slippery ang coating, which indicates that there is accumulation of dampness. Next, meron siyang yellow coating at the root. So, nasa may likod po, there is a yellowish coloration, which indicates that there is damp heat lodges in the lower burner. Ang symptoms, there is fatigue, especially after meals. There is lack of concentration. There's difficulty in falling asleep. There's loose smelly stool. Sa Western diagnosis, there is none. And yung background to disease, excessive consumption of the dairy products, long fasting periods in the past. So, nagpa-fasting po siya. Okay. Next patient, we have a male, 35 years old. Ang tongue po niya is pale, swollen. This indicates spleen chi deficiency, which is accumulation of dampness. Yellow slippery coating at the posterior third. So sa likod po, there is a yellowish coloration, which indicates that there is damp heat in the lower burner. Ang symptoms ng patient, there is frequent urination, turbid urine, there is lower back pain, there is constipation, stomach pains. Sa Western diagnosis, there is chronic prostatitis. Sa background of disease, there is irregular eating habits. Okay po. Next patient, we have a female, 41 years old. Ang tongue ng patient is pale and swollen. This indicates spleen chi deficiency with deficiency of blood and accumulation of dampness. There is red spots at the side of the teeth. So observe po natin yung tongue, which indicate that there is a retained externally contracted heat. There's also white thin coating, which is normal. And yung symptoms ng fatigue is patient is fatigue, there is weight gain, bloating, there is no period for 3 months, cold extremities, and frequent sore throats. Sa Western diagnosis, there is none. Ang background to disease, 6 pregnancies, overwork at the office and at home, and there is lack of sleep. Okay. So next patient, we have a female, 33 years old. Yung tongue ng patient is pale, swollen with teeth marks. This indicates that there is a spleen yang deficiency, which is accumulation of dampness. The patient symptom, watery stool in the morning without smell. There is frequent nausea. There is no drive. There is intense feeling of cold. There is migraine, diarrhea, vomiting preceding menstruation. Sa Western diagnosis, there is none. Sa background to disease, treated for a long time with tetracyclines for acne vulgaris. Also, there is frequent illness in childhood. Okay po. So next we have female, 37 years old. The patient tongue is pale, swollen with teeth marks. Okay, observe po natin yung picture, which indicates that there is a spleen yang deficiency, accumulation of dampness. Next, we have red and slightly contracted teeth, which indicates that there is a heart blood deficiency with heat from deficiency in the heart. Meron ding siyang light yellow, thin, slippery coating. which indicate that there is a food stagnation, accumulation of turbid dampness. Ang symptoms, there is depression, no drive, no appetite, there is abnormal pain at time of ovulation, there is intense feeling of cold during menstruation. Sa Western diagnosis, meron siyang ovarian cyst. Sa background to disease, there is excessive worry due to unemployment, overconsumption of sweet foods, emotional problems. Okay po. Next, we have a female, 25 years old. Ang tongue is pale and swollen. There is a spleen Qi deficiency, which is accumulation of dampness. There is light yellow greasy coating, which indicate food stagnation, accumulation of dampness in the middle burner, which transform into heat. Ang symptoms ng patient, there is loose stool without smell, 3 to 4 times daily. There is abdominal distension, flatulence, mood swings. Sa Western diagnosis, there is none. Ang background to disease, irregular eating habits, excessive consumption of dairy food, and unhappiness. Okay po. So thank you po for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sir Dino.